Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show with myself, Scott Hartley, and my amazing co-host, Scouse Andy. How are you, mate? You all right, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's a Victory Thursday yet again. I mean, we can get
Yeah,
used to
man.
this, can't we? We
Oh
can get
yeah,
used to
I
this.
definitely get used to it for sure. Yeah.
100%. We'll start off as always, mate, with our sponsors. So we are sponsors of Dunstable Town FC's Talk of the Town podcast, hosted by Andy Burrows. You may know him as Washington Commanders fan. Go across to their YouTube channel, go and subscribe if you're into non-league football and all that sort of thing. We're also graciously sponsored on this podcast by Oddballs, who go across to myoddballs.com. Go and have a look at their kit on there. You can also buy our merch on there, so have a good look. If you want a new pair of boxes for Christmas or a hat, go across and give them a shout. Now, I don't know about you, Scouse, but sometimes I get a few elbow problems and I also get a few shoulder problems at times. But our sponsor, Fusion Therapeutics, they can help you out there. You can go to fusiontherapeutics.co.uk. They provide expert musculoskeletal assessment and treatment, and they focus on your holistic care. They're dedicated to improve your well-being through tailored musculoskeletal health plans. The team offers specialist injection therapy, which is very rare in the UK, and non-medical independent prescriptions. So if you're in the Northwest, in Manchester or in the Cheshire area, give the team a call on 0161 842 0030, or you can book online and they'll be happy to help advise you further on this affordable treatment solution. So if you've got problems or you need anything, go and give them a shout. That's our new sponsor, Fusion Therapeutics. A bit of news then, mate, really. The first bit of news is the 21-day window, Scouts, opened from week 4 IRs for linebacker Jordan McGee, quarterback Marcus Mariota, and our boy, defensive end or defensive lineman, F.A. Obada, who has been a guest on the show and gave us some of his time last year. And they've also placed wide receiver Jameson Crowder on IR. So we've got 21 days to make a decision as to whether we cut these players, we keep them, or we activate them to the active roster. What are your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, it's good news, isn't it? It's nice to see FA back and I see even the other chaps who have come back from my army. And do you really need Mariota? I think Driscoll's better than him anyway. So
I know you do. I
don't really. He doesn't move the needle, but in general, yeah, man, it's good to see these guys back, and hopefully they can, especially McGee. I'm looking forward to see what he can do. So yeah, hopefully he'll be able to produce for us this Sunday.
I hope so. They were both full in practice, both of them this week. They've been full yesterday and today, so that's good news. Looking at this, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more rotation, which is good on the defensive line side, and also McGee, I think, will play quite heavily in special teams, and also gives us a little bit more versatility around the linebacking core. So that's good news when we look at it that way. What else is new? Jaden Daniels has won an award. Let's look at it. I mean, he won Pepsi Rookie of the Week, and he also won Rookie of the Month from the NFL for September. So, congratulations to Jaden Daniels. Obviously, yeah, man, he is winning lots and lots and lots of awards at the minute. And to be honest with you, I don't know how to take this. I'm a bit like, what's going on here? So, yeah, man, he's winning all the awards at the moment. It's nice, really good.
I just don't want him to kind of get the hype get to him, you know what I mean? And he start playing hero ball or he start doing something stupid, He seems like a guy who's, keeps his emotions in check, but still, when everyone's just giving you all the love and national media and, and we're not used to it as fans to have national media on us because we're always shite. So we get the last 5 minutes of the show. That's what we normally get, from these players. Now we're being first up, talking about how good our offense is and, it's completely different, which is great, and it's great as a fan. But yeah, man, I just hope all that shit doesn't get to the heads because that's when we start to mess up. When we start to get a little bit of momentum, we start to get a bit more national media attention. We get big heads, and then we lose games. We've done that before we had Jaden. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I know. I'm just looking at this, mate, from our perspective and thinking that this is a totally different regime, both on and off the field. Totally different set of players. 76% roster turnover this season. And we've got a lot of vets in that room as well who've been there, seen it, done it before. So I'm hoping that these vets maybe put an arm around the shoulder and say, look, this isn't always going to last, but while it lasts, let's continue the hype as it's going. It is really interesting, like you say, you watch things like Good Morning Football, and with First Up, people are gushing about the offense, they're gushing about how good Cliff Kingsbury is, they're talking about Jaden Daniels on the national media. He's everywhere at the minute. I mean, even the NFL changed their bloody header. Do you know what I mean, to Jaden Daniels? So it's looking great. And one other thing I wanted to bring up with you as well is, obviously, people have talked about this rebrand ad nauseum. We have on this show as well, continually. But Jaden Daniels' jersey was the highest selling jersey on Fanatics this week. In fact, this whole month. So what does that tell you? Are people starting to buy in because we're winning, or?
I mean, that's the usual thing, though, isn't it? It's kind of like winning sells, doesn't it? You start winning games, you start looking good. More fans come to the stadiums, more fans buy jerseys. These things happen, and it happens regularly. It's when. So I'm not shocked, should I say, that he was the number one best-selling guy, because he's the new hot prospect that even guys who aren't even really Washington fans, they just like seeing the next new up and coming stud, and they'll buy the jersey anyway. So there is guys like that out there. So, it's it doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me.
No, I know. I mean, it's really interesting to look at it and say, hey, you know what? What is actually going on at the moment? Can we continue this hype? Can we? It's really strange to look at a team now and think to yourselves, Christ, this is actually happening. We're doing really well at the moment. I mean, I'm really optimistic at the minute, and I'm not going to be Canada Mike style optimistic, but we are looking at this and thinking my pre-season predictions are probably way off as it stands at the minute. But yeah, man, it's a strange one, isn't it? Where do we go from here?
I think mine is all right. Though the 9 and 8, I think we've got a good chance of getting that at the moment. 3-1 up, and I do think we got a great chance against Cleveland. But again, we'll talk more about it later. But they've got a solid defense, and so that'll be a test. But in general, yeah, man. I mean, it's great. It's great to have this kind of national media, but also just like us, most fans are actually in a positive frame of mind for a change, which is nice, So
yeah, Rod's brought something up in the chat here. He says it's great when it happens, but let's see how we respond to adversity after a defeat. That'll be the true marker. I don't disagree with you, Rod, at all. I think you're absolutely spot on. Yeah,
he's right. He's right, because obviously we will lose again. That's obvious. Mm-hmm. We're not going to win every game. But we also lost the first game of the season, and we then won 3 straight. So if you think about it that way, that's pretty good comeback, from. I know there was not much expectation on Jaden in those first couple of games, but still, it's still that kind of thing of coming back from a defeat, or what do we do as a team? And we actually have got better. We won games, absolutely blowing out Arizona, which I thought was a great performance. Yeah, bring it on, keep it going, man, keep it going.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that now then, mate, I suppose. We've got to review the Week 3 game against the Arizona Cardinals, a 42-14 win, which takes our record to 3-1, as you said earlier. Jaden Daniels was 26 for 30, 233 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. I mean, I don't want to say I'm glad he threw it, but, he got it over, he got it out of his system, went away to the bench.
We want to see, like Rod mentioned before about losing games. We also want to see what Jaden does when he does something bad in a game. And that's why we want, as you mentioned him, we'd be glad he got out of his system. But really, it was just about seeing, okay, he saw the play. I thought he read it right. The ball just sailed on him. He tried to fit it in there a bit more pace, and it flew out of his hand a bit too high. That's it, interception. It happens. But then, how do you respond? And he was totally in control of the game. I thought, a lot of times rookies, the heads will go, they'll try and do something stupid to try and make up for the bad mistake, and then make a second bad mistake. He wasn't like that at all. He was totally professional, totally, can I say, cool, calm, collected, and that's nice to see. And say it's about that kind of what I'm looking for. I say it's that quiet confidence that he's got. You know what I mean? It's like, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, that was a mistake, but that's just totally gone. And it's right above my head. It's gone above my head. I'm not too bothered about it. It's gone. And that's how you got to think of it. That's the way you got to think of it. There's no point in dwelling on it now during the game. Well, a lot of rookies do. They dwell on it, they overthink it, and then they try and and in the next play, they do something else that's stupid. Will Levis is the king of that moment this season. He does one bad mistake, and all of a sudden he goes straight back and does something stupid to try and make up for it and causes no turnover. You see what I mean? So he's doing stupid things. Our guy's not doing that, which is nice. And I say, and that tells you, like, he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? He's in total command of himself and I think the offense as well. So yeah, man, awesome.
Do you think having 55 starts in college is set him apart from the rest of them? Because I mean, if you look at some of these QBs who were taken previously, your Anthony Richardson's 1 year at Florida, Will Levis the same 1 year in college. We hype these players up, or they get hyped up as first round talents, and then they come out. And I mean, CJ Stroud set the marker last year, but this year Jaden is blowing everyone away with the way his passer rating is. I mean, we've even got Tom Brady talking about him online. It's going mad. We know his completions, and his percentages are above anything that's ever been done before in the NFL, which is
been done before.
It's crazy. It's
crazy
to think that we've got this guy.
This is it. He's doing things that no one's ever done. Which is amazing, and so it's for our team. It's nice to see, really nice to see. Say people are waiting for the bubble to burst. People are mentioning these things, and waiting for the real horror game that he'll have, because he will have one. It's no one can be perfect all the time. And then they're waiting to see how he reacts, and I think he'll be fine. I think he will. I think he'll be fine. So
I do too. Rod has said here the Arizona game was the best Washington performance I've seen in years. I completely agree with you. Obviously, as you know, Rob, my fandom's fairly young. I've seen nothing but Clart from start to finish, really. And I can't remember a blowout this bad. I mentioned it on the Bleeding Burgundy, and I listened to you guys on the Bunker as well, Scouse. And if you haven't subscribed to either of them podcasts, please go ahead and do that. When we were listening to you guys talk about it, it's like I'm sitting there and it's 3rd and 7 and Jaden's under centre, and I'm not bothered about it. I'm just like, yeah, this will be completed. Do you know, whereas in the past you're looking and you've got Sam Howell, you've got Heineke, you've got these type of players there, and you're thinking to yourself, I just don't know here on 3rd. What they seem to be doing is, and interestingly enough, I've seen some statistics around our conversions. We're converting more than any other team on 2nd down to make it back into a 1st down, which is something that is ridiculous. And we haven't not converted on a 4th down either yet this season. We've made every single one of them.
And this shows that Jaden's clutch. It shows that he's clutch because he does it in the biggest moments. The money downs are always the 3rd and mediums, 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8, stuff like that. And then if we don't get it, we're still going for it on 4th down because we've got total confidence in Jaden to pull off the yardage that we need.
Exactly.
It's different, man. It's like everyone's just dead confident at the moment, and when players love playing, like we've never mentioned my mate Turnstile here, but with Turnstile, his interview he had,
I saw that.
He just loves playing. He said he's loving playing for this coaching staff and the players around on the O-line. So
and that shocked me as well on the post-game show where you gave your flowers to Andrew Wiley and Scott G. You can keep these receipts. I know you're in the chat there. You gave him your man of the match, and fair play to him.
I mean, obviously the low-hanging fruit would be Jaden, obviously, but again in general, especially from guys that I never give credit to, he is proven that he's actually solid. And about time, because he's been here. He was awful last year. I mean, awful. Now I know the schemes. I know there's other things. I know there's multiple things, reasons of why he was garbage. But you got to show me something, and he showed me nothing. These last 2 or 3 games, looking like we actually got an actual right tackle now. So
I know.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, long may it continue. Keep that coaching. Keep that guy, that O-line coach is doing a good job, man.
We'll go through some of the other stats from the game then. So rushing, Brian Robinson Jr. was our highest rusher with a 101-yard game, 1 TD. Jeremy McNichol, who obviously stepped up for the injured, concussed Austin Eckler, he was 8 carries for 68 yards and 2 TDs. And then Jaden himself was 8 carries for 47 yards and a rushing TD as well. The rushing game overall, 216 yards rushing this game, man. I mean, Wow, you know what I mean? It is one of them. Scott G's put a question in the chat. He said, "Who's improved more in the last year, Wiley or Scouse's podcast game?" I'm going to have to give it up to Scouse here. He's on Red Zone in the Lab UK.
You all know
You've got no podcast game.
I've got no
Come
podcast
on,
game.
man. Come on,
man.
You're doing bits. We know that, Scouse. You're doing bits. Moonlighting on other shows like me too. So no, it's all good. It's all good fun, mate. It's all good fun. You're doing bits. But Wiley, yeah, he's been very solid so far this season. And I think, as you said, the scheme has made a massive difference to that. The plays that Cliff's calling, 13 personnel being bunched or being spread. He seems to use a lot of 3 tight end sets at the minute, which is helping for chipping and helping in the run game. When the O-line is run blocking, we look fantastic. They are out there dominating. I mean, you only have to look at the Jaden touchdown and look at the blocks that were thrown in there from Biadish, from Wiley, making that hole for Jaden to run behind. It's one of them, man, where you're like, wow, this is something that we haven't seen for a long time. We've got a competent offensive line at the moment as well. How long that's going to last for? I don't know, but it's proving a lot better than I thought it was. Onto the receiving, mate, Olamide Zacchaeus. Go on, mate, you go. You got a bone to pick, obviously.
What's all this?
Scouse is poo emoji, question mark. No, he's not. Wow.
And then you got the Scouse new heights. Yeah, I got new heights here, man.
Yeah, exactly. Olamide Zacchaeus was our highest receiver with 85 yards on 6 targets. Then it was Terry with 52 yards and 1 TD. No other touchdowns for the team. But I've got to shout out Luke McCaffrey for that one catch that he got, which I think was a 3rd down. Solid catch. I mean, he is starting to show out a little bit as well. He's starting to show out a bit.
The stats show that McCaffrey gets open. I think it's like 68% of the time. That's pretty good, And obviously, Jaden's not really finding him at the moment. I mean, besides that one play, I don't even think he even threw the ball to McCaffrey. So I could be wrong with that, but I know there's only one catch for McCaffrey.
Yeah, it was only one target as well. One target.
Only one target, yeah. So it's that thing of like, you're just not really trying to find him. Now, again, is it because he's already got Terry open and he sees it and he delivers it? Or is it more, Noah Brown being the wide receiver too? Maybe he's looking at those 2 guys first.
Yeah.
And then McCaffrey's probably the 4th read most of the time because you're probably looking at Zach Ertz.
Tight end, yeah. That's 3rd read. And then
your 3rd read. So it's that kind of thing. So that's probably the reason why they're not finding him enough just yet, but yeah, man. I mean, but that was nice. That was a really nice play, man. That was a really nice play. Really nice catch.
I just think this was the most complete win we have had in a long, long time, and it started badly. It started with Kyler Murray on a 4th and inches from the 5-yard line, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll just sling it out to obviously." Marvin Harrison Jr. And you're like, okay, great starters. You mean to go on? Now, I'm not going to go against Igbenogany there. It wasn't his fault that he got caught on there. It was the way that the receiver ran the route and he got his hips turned inside. And by the time it was on, there was nothing he could do. He was nowhere near. It was just a perfect ball.
It was a good play. It was a good play. Kyler's a decent quarterback. And also you've got Harrison. I mean.
He's
legit. I wouldn't say he killed us in the first half. He didn't. Obviously scored the first touchdown and he looked okay for a bit. But then I say probably from start of 2nd quarter, maybe quarter and a half, he was non-existent. We just shut him down, man. After that, I mean,
madness,
so great.
And that was Sanra still. That was your boy. Sanra still was on him all day. And going back to the Ohio State, Michigan factor, he knows how Marvin Harrison's played. He's been with him in college. They played against him so many times. He was just like, no, I'm taking this one on. And this was what we said pre-game, Scouts, that we needed the defense to step up. And boy, did they ever. This was the first defensive performance that we've had in a long time. Obviously, Dorrance Armstrong got 2.5 sacks.
This was his breakout game. This really was his breakout game. No, you can see he meant business. You can see that he's probably been getting ripped to shreds, that he's not done anything for the first 3 weeks. And he's thinking, well, you know what? I need to do something here. And he really has. He really stepped up.
John Allen got a sack, and Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu were a half sack each. So, yeah, man, it was it was good from the defense, and also in coverage we played pretty well as well. But I think you're right. I think the game plan, I think the way that we were moving the ball on offense gave time for the defense to relax, to be ready, to come onto the field and be like, "Oh, it's okay, we got you. You know, we know what we're going to do here. We're not tired out," because last year it was the defense were constantly on the field. You know, we were relying heavily on Payne and Allen from the middle without any pass rush help because obviously we traded away Chase and Montez. And then it's like, well, hold on a minute, what are we going to do now? And this, as you said, this was Dorrance Armstrong's coming out party, if you like. He was, hello, I've arrived in Washington. Really, really good performance. And we said the corners would have to be strong, and they were. Do you think then that they maybe gave up the run, if you like, to make sure that we defended the pass?
I thought because we were so prolific on offense, after we went kind of 21-7, that type of range, they had to abandon the run virtually completely, because they had to try and get back into the game, and we knew what they were going to do. We knew they were going to pass the ball. They're going to try and get Kyle out into space and try and throw a ball here and there, and that's exactly how. And we played that way to stop them. We still were getting gashed up the middle. Do you know what I mean? With the run, but because we were ahead in the game, they were chasing by 2 scores plus. You're thinking, you had to abandon the run game, and that made it much easier for our defense. So that's how your offense can also help your defense out, not just by scoring points, but you're changing the team's scheme and what their play calling is going to be. You really made them one-dimensional with passing the ball 95% of the time. So it doesn't keep defense honest. Defense knows where you're going to be, you know, and you've always got a better chance of defending a pass or defending a receiver when you know it's going to be a pass play. You know, so that's why it worked really well last week. The kind of balance between the two teams. The two offense and defense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm looking at it now, and I mean, if you look at the stats for James Conner had 18 carries for 104 yards, an average of 5.5 and 1 TD. But that's not far off what Brian Robinson got there. I mean, Brian Robinson was 101, 4.8 a carry and 1 TD. So that just shows you that although Jaden's making the plays at quarterback, and we've got these receivers who are scoring touchdowns, the strong running game is still there as well. So you're honest on both sides of the field, both phases of the ball, if you like, from offensive side. And then Kyler Murray, I thought he just looked lost after probably you saw pictures of him on the TV sitting on a bench, like totally confused, no idea what the hell's going on. And I mean, mate, this ain't bad for a college offense, is it? Let's be honest, Scouts. Thanks Taylor Britt. We'll take that one.
I hate that kind of. It's like it's underhanded kicking the balls, not just by Taylor Britt, because he got burnt. So I'm calling him Taylor Burnt from now on. But in general, I'm thinking about kind of like a Chris Sims and other guys going, it's the Cliff Kingsbury college offense. No, it's not. It's completely different to what he was throwing. When he was at Arizona originally, it's completely different, man. Using the run game a lot more zone run. He never did any of that at Arizona, So that year away has made him think differently about his whole scheme and offense. And
I absolutely agree with you. And if you go back to his plays from Arizona and the scheme that he played there, he was not doing 13 personnel. That is a certainty. That was not something that was in there. I mean, look, if you want to have a look at where Cliff is in his bag, you need a flashlight, mate, to have a look in, because he is deep in that bag at the moment. I mean, we've had a tackle eligible for a touchdown already this season, and now he's dialing plays up from here, there, and everywhere. I'm going to say this quietly and touch wood. I brought it up. It's not. I brought this up in our chat, I think, a while ago, and Jesse said, "Take that bad juju away." But we're going to be lucky to keep hold of Cliff at the end of the season if this continues. We are going to be very, very lucky.
If we're a top 5 offense over the season, which I think we're ranked 3rd at the moment, I think number 1 for fantasy purposes, but in general, we're I think we're 3rd. So. Yeah, anything like around that, top 3, top 5 overall throughout the season, 100% Cliff's gone. Unless he wants to stay, rather than take a head coaching job. Unless he wants to be, hey, Josh, double my money and I'll stay, you know what I mean, type thing.
And I tell you what, Josh will probably do that, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, if we're up there,
If he's enjoying himself, then why not? We punted as well, Scouse. Tressway dusted his cleats off. He got a punt off, 51-yarder. He looked excited when he punted. He was screeching down the field, which is great. And we have to give a shout out to the other specialists as well. We're not hearing Tyler Ott's name, which is brilliant. There's none of this Cameron Cheeseman shit where you're throwing it down every week we were on talking about bobbled snaps and all sorts. Tyler Ott's doing the business. And Austin Seibert, man, or the cyborg as I call him. 2 out of 2, and obviously on field goals, what longest was 45 and 4 extra points. You call him Mr. Perfect, don't you? Is that what your nickname is?
Yeah, he's Mr. Perfect, yeah. So I'm going to keep, until he misses one, I'm going to keep calling him that, So... yeah, man, bring it on. Keep bringing it on, man.
But look, man.
I mean, we got lucky. We fell with Seibert there because obviously we had like 2 kickers before him that just shit the bed. Fair enough, and we got lucky with that. Even though you called it because he played well for the Jets in pre-season, you called for it a while back, and it was like, look, man, this guy's not missed. And they're not going to drop Greg Zuerlein because...
That's exactly it. That's exactly what I said to you.
And he paid him shitloads of money, didn't he? Like 7-8 million a year. So it's obviously you're not going to cut him. So Seibert was always going to be on the way out. I'm glad that, our guys still shit the bed bad enough that he was still available until somebody else. Because the week later, what happened? The Giants lost their kicker. And then they were looking for a kicker. And then they got Greg Joseph. But they would have had Seibert.
No doubt about it. Let's go from what you don't even have to change stadiums. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah, exactly that. Scott G is correct here. He says people are overreacting to the college offense comments. Results are what's important, even if they're not complex schemes. I agree with you, but what you have to remember, Scott, is I think it fairly is a complex scheme. I think the first game, Tampa Bay, and probably part of the second game against New York, they were looking at this playbook and saying, what can Jaden handle? And he's obviously come on with flying colours. And the more and more it goes in, the more and more we'll look to get more and more into this playbook. I think he's probably ripping pages out and saying, I don't need that. Right, we'll move that one away and we'll pull this bit forward. He's just doing the business at the moment. And Cliff it needs big credit. And I tell you something as well. This coaching staff, we talked about it in the off-season, saying it seems like we're getting a star-studded coaching staff. I think this coaching staff deserves a heap of praise. People like Anthony Lynn, the run game coordinator. You've got
that's
Brian
one thing people aren't talking about. Anthony Lynn, man's been obviously our run game's a hell of a
instrumental.
Yeah, man, 100%.
And then you've got Bobby Johnson, the offensive line coach who came in and we said, he didn't do too well at the Giants.
Is he as good as people say as well? After 4 games, he's showing that he can coach. So keep it going, man.
Yeah, he can coach, and this offensive line. I mean, we've got to give it its flowers. We said this is going to be a bit of a struggle going into this season. Both Brandon Coleman and Cornelius Lucas, I nearly forgot his name there. They've been obviously sharing duties. It was kind of the snaps were almost 50-50 in this Arizona game. I think they're just warming Brandon Coleman up to say, probably week 5-6, he'll start taking over moving forward. But to be honest, it's working.
That was what I was going to say. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And them two sharing it are still being pretty solid over there, both. And I think it's keeping them fresh as well, because I think that could be part of the injury list as well as Coleman's he's coming back from. He's still got this pec injury going on, and he's still trying to play through it and those type of things, and also getting up to speed at the NFL level. And now he's handling business when he's on the field, but that doesn't mean that he could do it for 100% of the snaps yet. And I think that you'll see it gradually increase. You'll see it. Maybe this week he might be 60% more. Then it'll be 70% more than Lucas. See what I mean? Those type things, and then it'll eventually be in full-time starter. But I think that will probably be more towards week 10 onwards, probably, before you see him really being number 1 overall starter for the whole game, barring injuries.
Agreed. Deluxe has said if these results are from a college offense, maybe other teams should use college offenses too. Couldn't agree more with you, Deluxe.
Yeah.
Rod said
an underhanded disrespect. That's what I see it like, because this is the NFL. This isn't college. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah. Rod said, hit the pine. What chances are there pine cutouts behind the goals on Sundays? Good idea. I just want that T-shirt. Hit the pine. That's what I want. I want that T-shirt. I think Brian talked about it last week or the week before. I think that's where we need to go. We'll go through the injury report then, Scouse, from this week. So injury report this week, we've got Jason Newton with a shoulder. His status is questionable.
And it's he always limited or questionable, isn't he? On depending on his shoulder. So it's kind of, I understand you bringing him on along just like a Coleman type thing, but it's like, man, like you need to get off the injury report, man.
Yeah,
he needs to get off it, man. He's it's not good.
Come on. Yeah. Who else have we got on the injury report? Dominic Hampton as safety is on the injury report as well, as limited. Percy Butler was
anyway, like he normally
is. I think he probably will be. You're right. I mean, Thursday's injury report hasn't come out yet. So obviously we've got to be a bit.
After we finish, I think
it always does, doesn't it? And weirdly enough, if I go on the Commander's website now, there's nothing listed.
Brian Robinson, he mentioned the knee problem as well with Brian Robinson. I think we both asked a question earlier about it as well. What do you think about his knee or something? Are you worried about his knee?
I'm not worried about his knee. I think he'll be good to go. I'm just trying to find.
Are you boys concerned about B-Rob knee injury? No, I'm not. I say we'll see. For example, if he was out, like he didn't practice today, for example, when that comes out, I'd be more worried then. But if it's just a case of he's got a bit of a sore knee, limited, or even I think he'll be playing Sunday. So
it just says here Brian Robinson's questionable. It says Robinson knee wasn't spotted at the open portion of Thursday's practice, according to Ben Standig.
Well, that's not good. If he's not there in practice at all, maybe he has got a knee that's worse than we think. So man, I have to see when that report comes out properly. But
Noah Brown is on here.
If he was completely did not participate at all, would be Rob. Now you're looking at because is Eckler going to be back yet? Because he's still in the concussion protocol. Is he going to be back in time? Because he'd be the lead starter then.
Well, I'll get onto that. It's saying here Noah Brown was limited in practice on Wednesday due to a groin injury. We obviously know how groin injuries can linger on.
Is that and then though?
Yeah, he has. And then Austin Eckler, concussion. He practiced in a limited capacity on Wednesday, but the padded practice is today. So this is probably the key to the week, isn't it? And we don't know.
Thursday or the Friday, depending on which day
we're on.
On the Friday, But I think today's one's going to be the more important one. So if Eckler is available and he's okay, he's past protocol, then we'll miss B-Rob, but it wouldn't be as bad. If we had both of them out, that could be a big problem because McNichols did a great job for us, but he's not a bruiser. He's not that battering man. Not. You know what I mean? Seaward could probably do it because he'd be called up. He's more of a bruising type of.
Wiley is the other one, isn't he?
Wiley's more a pass catcher as well. Though I see him more like a McNichol type player. So if them two are definitely potentially out or limited on Sunday, then maybe they might bring up Seaward and see what happens.
I don't think he'll get to that. I think Brian Robinson will be okay. I really do think he'll be okay. But it's
he wasn't at practice today. That raises my worriedness, should I say, heightens my. I'm worried about that. So
I think he'll play on Sunday. I think he'll be all right. The Cleveland Browns, on the other hand, which we'll get into in a minute, but their injury report is huge. It is massive.
Nick Chubb, good out.
Yeah, Nick Chubb, running back. Obviously, he's just come back off IR, I believe. He's got a knee injury. He's limited. Jack Conklin, offensive tackle, hamstring, didn't practice.
Have they brought Thingio back? Have they? Is Thingio off IR or the pup list?
Nick Chubb. Yes, he's in that 21-day window. So, he has been brought back by the looks of it.
Back in 3 weeks then.
Michael Dunn, who is a guard, has an illness, didn't practice. Martin Emerson, cornerback, game day concussion protocol evaluation. Myles Garrett with an Achilles, didn't practice.
Nice.
Jordan Hicks, ribs, elbow, and tricep, didn't practice. He's a middle linebacker. Naheem Himes, who's their like reserve running back, he's got a knee, didn't practice. James Hudson.
He's their pass catcher.
James Hudson, their other offensive tackle on the right side, he didn't practice with a shoulder. DeJuan Jones, offensive tackle, who was their rookie OT, can play left or right tackle. Shoulder, didn't practice. Then we're in Jerry Judy's got a knee. He didn't practice. Greg Newsome, the second, non-injury related personal reasons, didn't practice. Don't know what that is, but fair enough. David Njoku was a limited practice participant with an ankle injury as a tight end, but he's expected to play. Yeah. Then we've also got Ogbo Okonkwo, who's a defensive end, illness, didn't practice. We've got Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who's a linebacker at hand. He was a limited participant. Their centre, Ethan Pockrick, with an ankle, didn't practice. Pierre Strong, running back, hamstring, didn't practice. And then Jedrick Wills, another offensive tackle with a knee, didn't practice. And Alex Wright, who's a defensive end, tricep, did not practice. So I'm looking at this. There's five offensive linemen if you include the centre. In fact, hang on, 6 with the guard on there as well, who have not practiced for big major reasons. They are looking quite beat up, mate. Especially on the offensive line. So for me, if I was on the defense,
you know what I mean? Like
you would hope so, wouldn't you?
Allen should eat. Yeah, for sure, man.
You would hope so.
I mean, wow, I didn't. I mean, that's a huge injury list. I mean, even if you only get half of them back for the Sunday game, you know, you still.
Oh, Deluxe is saying Alex Wright is out for the season, so he is a defensive end with a tricep injury. So, well, we'll get onto it, mate, I suppose. Preview the Cleveland Browns. They are 1-3, third in the AFC North. Obviously, we don't talk about their quarterback on this podcast, obviously, because he is a dirty man, and the less said about him, the better. No, man, he's a scumbag. I don't like the guy at all. Amazing in Houston. But obviously in the Browns, he's been dung. Absolutely rubbish. Their standout players, I mean, I'll have to mention his name now. Deshaun Watson, 727 yards. Rushing yards is Jerome Ford, 203. Their highest rated receiver is Jerry Jeudy with 197 yards. And their tackles, highest tackler on their team is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, middle linebacker with 34. They don't have anyone who has an interception. Touch wood, that stays the same. I mean, what are your thoughts going into this Browns game, mate?
It's interesting. Interesting, as in, this is a game. Before the season started, I thought we'd lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the players, player for player.
Same.
But then when you kind of come from when you see. Obviously, they're banged up, but also they've played like shit as well. That's also another thing. And then also you've got their secondary is good though, man. It's very good.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a huge test for Jaden. They really do. That defense against our offense is going to be the key there, I think. And as I say, they are very, very good, especially in the secondary. So probably one of the best in the NFL.
Shout out to Burrows. He said literally turned on, and Scott is talking about dirty men. Podcasts taking a turn. And my fellow co-host from the Bleeding Burgundy, Jesse, he's in as well. So shout out to them both. I wonder if Jesse has had his issues with the beavers this week. They've been building dams inside of the pipelines. So yesterday sent us all a video of him trying to rod one of the dams, which was quite interesting. So funny. Good old beavers. Anyway, I think we said that's...
It's the only beaver Jesse getting nowadays.
Correct. But we're joined on the podcast by Hot Take Freddie Ham, good friend of the show, great guy to sit with at the football. Sorted us out all our group tickets this year yet again. Shout out to Freddie Ham. What a guy. Welcome to the show again, my man. How are you doing, Freddie? You all right, buddy?
I'm doing great. What's up, Scotty? What's up, Scouser?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you
doing? Had a great time at the game. Actually, sitting right between y'all, so we made the proverbial ham sandwich, as it were.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Freddie. Boris says, Freddie, blink twice if you need saving.
If anyone didn't get that, if anyone doesn't know, my last name's Ham. Ha ha ha
I
ha
did get
ha.
that. I did get that. Yeah, I did get that. But yeah, we're just discussing the. You joined us right in time, mate. We're just discussing the Cleveland Browns game on Sunday. What are your thoughts going into Cleveland? Obviously, massive injury list for them at the moment, especially to key players. The offensive line looks completely decimated. What are your thoughts for Sunday's game?
I'll tell you what. My thoughts on the game, but yeah, listen, the Cleveland Browns injury list is massive. But I mean, go look at ours.
It's not
I mean,
that big.
it's not. I mean, I wouldn't say it's massive. I would say it's decently long. So I mean, that's I'm used to saying that it's decently long, right?
Yeah, I've never heard that statement, Freddie.
This is the thing about the Browns. The Browns don't really push the ball down the field all that much. They do everything that they do is kind of around the line of scrimmage. But Joe Witt's got to have this run defense shored up, because if not, we're going to be in for a long day on Sunday. And I know that Deshaun Watson, he's not the greatest, but he's still Deshaun Watson. I mean, I'm not counting him out. He's done some great things. So I mean, I don't go into this game just thinking, oh, it's the Browns, it's the same old thing. We're just going to roll over this team. We're not. Honestly, to me, it could be a trap game, especially with all of the love that we're getting from the national media, which is really cool that we're getting all this love. But man, it's just I've seen this movie before. Now I don't feel like this team is like teams of the past, but I get very, very, very uneasy when everyone starts talking about how good you are. So, and I like that Jaden Daniels doesn't hear any of that. He's still all about, we just got to keep doing our thing. I haven't done anything yet. I'm still a rookie. We just got to keep doing what we're doing. If they can do that, I think we'll be just fine. I don't really think like the outside noise is affecting this team. It's just one of those things where, as a fan, I don't like it.
I completely understand. Andy's put something in it
about us losing. When we get like the national love, we tend to like kind of shit the bed when we actually get that big game, So I'm definitely on the same boat as Freddie with that one.
Yeah, Andy said, why does it look like you've dialed in from prison? Did you not realise that Freddie is joining us from HMP Wormwood Scrubs? Yeah, no, it's all good, man. He's doing well. But yeah, I agree with you, Freddie, completely. I think that, it is a winnable game now. Me and Scouse just said before on our predictions, we had this down as a straight-up loss before the season started. Obviously not knowing where this offense would be, what we're like as what Cliff is like as a play caller, what scheme he was going to run. But with the defense clicking last week, I think this is going to be a run down your throat game as well. I think we're going to have to use the run game very strongly, and maybe we have to give up a bit in the run to protect the pass, possibly, or hope that the defense forces Deshaun Watson to stay in the pocket and throw the ball like we did with Kyler Murray. Similar sort of tactics, I think. Scouse, what do you think of that, mate? Similar sort of tactics to the Arizona game?
I mean, 42-14, I'll take that right now if you're going to offer me that against Cleveland.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Should have been 42-7. Should have been 42-7. Easily.
Yeah. So one of them, yeah. I mean, but obviously, for me, it's as Freddie mentioned there, one thing they do have is a good run game. On offense, they haven't got much going on the passing game. Deshaun's not doing a lot. And as you mentioned before, all their tackles are virtually the whole line's banged up. So he shouldn't be much of a factor in my book, to be honest with you. It's going to be about the run game and trying to stop Ford and the other guy that they've got. I know Chubb won't be playing, but we're still not very good, especially up the middle. We mentioned about James Conner killing us up until obviously the game got out of sight where they had to throw the ball, where they had to abandon the run game. I mean, if you can do the same again, if you can go 2 or 3 scores up, then great. That nullifies their only real decent offensive weapons. So I'll be happy with that again. But again, let's see how it goes, man. But for me, stop the run first, make Deshaun and their banged up tackles pass pro all the time. Let's go for it.
Boris says, ask Freddie
I
how his
mean,
work was.
and
He said, is
he's
it
over here
quiet?
taking the piss, man. He's just he's got it going today.
He has,
Uh,
doesn't he, ever? No cancellations then, Freddie, no.
uh,
Oh, dear. Anyway,
mm.
it is what it is. Commander Viscount put us a question in, John Bowden Grace. He said, one game at a time, how do you see the game playing out against the Browns, and what's your score predictions before we start to think about the Ravens? Yeah, I agree with him in the premise of what he's getting at there. A lot of people are talking about the Ravens already and saying, why wasn't it flexed, etc., etc. This is a great game that's coming up and down the track. And people are kind of overlooking the Browns, I think, a little bit here. Rod's put it in our chat as well and said potential banana skin game. I don't disagree with you. I think, though, that the way we've gone with Dan Quinn is he's taking one game at a time. It seems like the players are also taking it one win at a time, one game at a time. It's fantastic that we're winning. It's absolutely amazing. Me and you, Freddie, actually, you've been messaging me during the bloody game on voice notes going, what the hell's going on? I'm the same, man. I'm looking at it thinking, I don't remember this. I've never seen this in my lifetime. Yeah, I know, dude. I haven't seen this. In my lifetime anyway, supporting this team. It's different to 2012. It's very different, but having a bit of success now is, we're going well, but it is a bit of a trap game, this, I think, and we just got to, I don't know, we just got to go with the flow and go with what we're doing, but I think the run game is going to be big, this week. Freddie, we've got quite a lot of fan questions, mate, and we'll go through them. I'll come to you with one of these, with the first one. I always give you a difficult one because, why not? It's from Tim Towner. Shout out to Tim Towner. He said, are quarterback salaries ruining the teams that pass them out? Which team do you feel got the best out of the contract extensions or contracts that they gave out this past offseason? And obviously he's listed them. He said Detroit, Goff; Miami, Tua; Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence; Green Bay with Love; Tampa Bay with Mayfield; Kirk at Atlanta; and Cowboys with Dak.
That is such a long list there.
It is a long list of them.
Not many of them. You're gonna have buyer's remorse pretty quick. But the Tua thing, that's not really in Miami's control, And I look at what happened to him, and I just go, God, how many times can this dude just get annihilated in the head where he goes, you got to give it up, man. It's just, we were talking about this. We were talking about this last year and the year before. Yeah. About him, maybe needing to hang it up. So the Tua thing, the Tua thing is kind of an outlier. I still believe in Jordan Love. I think it's a good idea to go ahead and wrap him up. The Baker Mayfield thing, look, I like Baker Mayfield, man.
So do I, actually.
He's got moxie. He's a fucking football player, and good for him for earning a spot and being a number one quarterback again, because he could have very easily just become that backup quarterback journeyman thing, and he was headed down that road. He definitely was. So I'm actually really happy for Baker, and I think it's a good investment on the Bucs part. The Jared Goff thing, he's balling out there. I think, but look at the cast he's got around him. Look at the overall team, and I think that if Detroit can win themselves a championship, and I think they're very capable of doing so, I think that they're going to do so in a way that we don't see very often anymore, where you have the whole team kind of. Honestly, it's kind of the way that this franchise had won Super Bowls in the 80s and 90s. We didn't really have a big time star quarterback. I know Joe Theismann in his time was really great, but we never had we didn't have the Joe Montana, we didn't have the Jim Kelly, we didn't have that kind of thing. Mark Rippon, for the most part, he had that one stellar year, he had another really great year, and for the rest, he was a journeyman quarterback just like everybody else. So I see Detroit kind of maybe winning a Super Bowl in a similar fashion to how we saw a few teams in the late 90s, early 2000s, something like Brad Johnson won one with the Bucs. Trent Dilfer won one with the Ravens. Those were
exactly,
all-time defenses. kind of, something like that, or even like I look, and it's a different situation, but when the Eagles won the Super Bowl and they won it without Wentz, they won it with the backup with Nick Foles, kind of something like that playing out. And I'm not saying that Jared Goff is not a very good quarterback, but he's certainly not a top 5 quarterback, but he doesn't need to be, not in Detroit. And I kind of look at it like this, and I've talked about quarterback salaries before and how it hampers a team, but it's just one of those things. Like, if you think you've got your guy and quarterbacks are at such a premium, then you just got to do it. And for the teams that are really great, if you have a great quarterback and you believe in him, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at the guy. I mean, the Chiefs are doing just fine. The Patriots with Tom Brady, they did just fine for a decade, man, for longer than a decade. You can put together a very capable team, a very good team, so long as you have front offices making the right moves, that is drafting the right people. You have a constant flow of talent. You don't just sit on what you got. And I think we have that with Adam Peters. So, I mean, Jaden Daniels,
Jaden Daniels' contract.
If Jaden Daniels ends up being
that was where I was going to spin
what
off
we
to
think he
Scouts.
is, look, pay him whatever you want to pay him. It's 100% worth it if you've got your guy. Okay?
100% agree. I agree with you. I mean, for me, I'm looking at that list and saying Tampa Bay with Mayfield. I'm glad he's got a home. I think that he's made that Tampa Bay his home. That is his team at the moment, and he's doing really well down there. I think the
Trevor Lawrence thing. The Trevor Lawrence thing.
I'm not in my household.
The ones that I'm really down on. Yeah, the Trevor Lawrence thing. I don't think that was a very smart move. And then the Dak thing. I mean, come on, Dak is Black Kirk Cousins, who, I mean, look, and he's not even as good as Kirk. So it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. That's just what.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take. I'll give you that one.
I don't even think it's that hot of a take.
Probably not. Yeah, to be honest, you're probably right.
I've been watching Dak his whole career. I mean, he's great. He's been great during the regular season, and then in the playoffs, I've seen less folding in an origami class. I'm just saying.
Yeah, true that. Here's one for you, Scouse, which I know you're probably going to struggle with a little bit, but we'll have a look at it. It's again from Tim. He says, do you believe that there's been a vast increase in injuries since the NFLPA has negotiated a lighter practice schedule, especially the soft tissue variety? Do you know if major injuries have been reduced? And then in Tim's opinion, he said it's led to a decrease in the quality of play, at least tackling, and are the players today soft, spoiled, rich kids? Ooh. So I was trying to look at it from your medical background, mate, and go, do you know what you're doing here?
That's a perfect question.
I mean, I was trying to look, because I read this question earlier, and I tried to look through some stats, but the problem is there's not a lot about standard muscle injuries, like you mentioned, like normal kind of injuries like that. All you can see from the real stat is how many concussions there's been each year and how many kind of ACL. Yeah. They're the kind of, because they're like the two main kind of injuries that most guys get. There's nothing really about the like normal muscle sprain, strain, stuff like that I could see in throughout a year process, of the NFL. So I don't really know the answer to that one, mate. But I agree with what you're saying about the poorness in tackling, because the guys aren't tackling throughout pre-season, so I definitely get it from that angle. And I think personally, from my point of view, that if your body's not conditioned to take the hits, as soon as you start taking hits, your body's either going to get injured quite easily and quite quickly. So for me, it's all about sport-specific conditioning. And I think because of the NFL rules, I think that they are limited in that, and they've got to start that later on in their actual pre-season / to get ready for the main season. So I think that is definitely part of it. But again, can I give you the stats of how many is there more hamstring injuries now or not? No, I can't show you that. But from concussions haven't changed. I mean, 2022, 216, I think it was, concussions. Last year was 219, so there's not much difference in there at all. Concussions. ACLs have gone down.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
But it went down by about 40. so which is good. But again, is that I don't think that's a correlation to the question at hand. I think that's just a lot of draw.
To your point, then, Scouse, about obviously not tackling and not going and getting your body ready for conditioning for football. Do you think that's why we see some of the bigger injuries, if you like, the season-ending injuries earlier in the season, in the first couple of 3 weeks, 4 weeks, where people blow out ACLs, they get meniscus tears, offensive linemen, they're getting shoulder injuries, pec injuries, like being ripped from the bone, that sort of thing. Sometimes a freak injury is just a freak injury, and it can happen any time of the season. It doesn't matter what you do. I do agree with you, though, that when you look at teams and other sports, like we've got soccer over here, you play pre-season, you're playing your first team. But what you're doing is you're building them into it slowly, and you're saying, right, okay, we know tonight we've got a friendly against Dunstable Town, let's just say. So you're going to play your first team for probably 20 minutes and then rotate through, and play a few other teams.
How often in the NFL teams do that, though? They don't use
and you're right, they don't use pre-season. Starters are sitting on the sidelines and not playing. And you brought this point up a few weeks ago and said you wanted to see one of maybe even the first preseason to get that cohesion together. Especially if it's a brand new offensive line or if it's a brand new
especially
secondary.
The turnover we had, with 70% turnover. You think you need to gain team cohesion. I think that's why the defense looked a lot better last week than compared to previous weeks.
It takes time, doesn't it? Offenses do the thing, and then it takes defenses a while to adapt, doesn't it? And that's kind of where we're at. It's week 4, and now the defense looked pretty good last season. Any thoughts on that, Freddie? On injuries or how it, what's going on with it, or are you like, nah?
Don't forget to answer the last bit of that question. Are they all?
You can answer the last bit. So that is, are the players of today spoiled and soft rich kids?
No, they're not spoiled and soft rich kids. I can't stand it when I'm scrolling through social media and I see things talking about these rich players and how they have it so easy and blah, 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 blah. It's like, why don't you try work a real job? Why don't you punch in at 9 o'clock and see how you're doing at 5? And I just, look, certain people have certain gifts. They're blessed with the talent to play the game, and they're in a league that generates billions of dollars, and they exploit the players. 100% they do. This massive juggernaut that is the NFL would not be anything without the players. If you really want to get down to it, what it is, the NFL is a business. The players are the commodity. The players are what we are buying, right?
Yep.
When you buy a jersey, when you watch a game, that's what we're buying. We are buying football. We are consuming football. And what is football? It's the players. It's 100% what it is. So I don't ever knock any player for wanting to get a better contract, for wanting to get more money, this and that. People talk about, they got no loyalty to the team, blah, blah. Listen, there is zero loyalty in the NFL.
Yeah, they're all mercenaries.
And when people say, they don't have loyalty to the teams have no loyalty to these players. Don't get me wrong. There are relationships. I know that coaches care about their players. Other players might care about each other in front. Adam Peters probably has players that he likes. And Adam Peters has probably cut a lot of players that he might like the person, but at the end of the day, it's a business. You got to help the team win. And if you have a catastrophic injury and then all of a sudden you get cut, your career's over. There is zero job security in the NFL. Absolutely none. So I will never, ever knock a player for wanting to get a long-term contract, to get more money, whatever, right? Because at the end of the day, you would do the same thing. Don't say that you wouldn't do it. You want to talk about
absolutely,
and especially
how loyal are you to
the as well
company to the company that you work for. I mean, as far as soft, I look at it like this. I am sure that players who played in the 90s, the players who played in the 70s, called them soft, and I'm sure that the NFL players who played in the 30s called the players in the 60s soft. I mean, it's always the way it is. It's the evolution of the game. It's the way that the game has changed. And the game that we all love, this aerial game, these players that are just lightning fast, the game has changed and it's turned into what it has turned into. And if you don't like it, then you don't have to watch it. I don't think there's any shortage of badass motherfuckers in the league. I mean, just dogs. They're all over. We have some on our team. Look at Frankie Louvu. Look at Bobby Wagner. Look at her defensive linemen, offensive linemen. If you don't think that tough guys aren't still in football, then I don't know. We're not watching the same thing. Now, the NFLPA wanting to protect its players, the players union being there for these guys, I mean, I think that's an important thing. And look, at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself, and that's what these players are trying to do, and that's why we don't have as much contact as we have, and that's why we have all of these things mandated. I mean, does it hurt the game? I mean, you can make the argument that it hurts the game a little bit, and we were alluding to that earlier, talking about the tackling and all that, and how the first game of the season has ultimately become the fourth preseason game. I mean, that's really just what it is. But
right.
And I don't really have anything against these teams not playing their first team in the preseason, because this is the thing. It's the trends, man. None of these teams are playing their first string star players because they're so scared of them getting hurt, and this is the problem. If you start doing that, whoever does that, the first star player that gets that season-ending injury in a preseason game that means nothing is going to be absolutely eviscerated in the media, and the teams just aren't going to take that risk. They're not going to do it. I wouldn't do it.
I agree with you. Cameron McDonald from FK, who's FK Commanders fan on X, also host of the Friday Night Football Pitch. If you haven't subscribed to them, go out and subscribe to them. They're a great football podcast. They also talk specifically about Scottish football, but they do talk about English football, lower league, and Premier League as well. So if you're into football or our football, soccer, I'm not ever going to call it soccer really, go across and give them a subscribe and a follow. He says, how many primetime late games do you expect us to feature in next season, Scouse? 8:15 Eastern kickoffs are great.
Wait for him because he works nights. Yeah.
He does, yeah. No, they are not good at all. Cameron.
I mean, it all depends how well we do this season, man. I mean, if we continue to win, we'll get. Didn't the Jets get something like 7 or 8 last season when they first signed Rodgers? And then
I think so. They were very high.
At least 3. At least 3. I'm calling it right now. So. At least 3.
I think 3.
I mean, I think the very, very least. I mean, I think because we'll get our Monday night, at least one Sunday night.
If you win a lot this season, we'll
have a Thursday night.
So,
and then I see, one of our games is going to get flexed by the end of the season. I know that everyone wants the Ravens game being flexed, and apparently that's a CBS thing because they're the ones who are blocking that. It's not the NFL. The NFL wants it, and I know you guys are happy about that. See, I like late games because I can still get my shit done earlier in the day. And I can watch, but then I don't have to, I don't have to stay up until 3 a.m. like you guys do. So
yeah. To that end, then Scott G said it was about 5:00, mate. It starts at 1:15 in the morning, 8:15. So that is not a good game. Scott G said, how much money did the UK pay CBS to prevent the flex for the Ravens game for Saturday Night Football? Well, we didn't make that donation, Scott G. I know you're in our chat, but no, we didn't make that donation. But I'm sure our Prime Minister had a word. I don't know. Canada Mike Scouse, I'll come to you with this one. He said, who in the NFL has a better offense than us at the moment? Ooh.
Over the last 2 weeks, nobody. Over the last 2 weeks, nobody.
Really? I mean, overall, you'd say the Bills, but you're probably right. You're probably right. Over the last 2 weeks.
We have the last 2 weeks, I'd say that. I mean, obviously, you've still got to take on, the Bills are usually pretty solid offense.
Ravens.
You could say that the Bills have played better teams as well.
Yeah, well, they got beat 35-10 last week. You know what I mean? To Ravens, so that's why we think that's going to be the acid test next week when we see them. But Yeah, man, that's I think at this moment, I think we are the best. We are the best in offense. Just over the last few weeks, though. That will change, though.
It's like that song, in Karate Kid.
Points and that'll be it, you know. But, we'll see. What are you saying?
He's doing a bit of a sing-song for us about Karate Kid. Yeah, I know.
Simply the best.
Yeah, give him that.
Sam Darnold, yeah, good shout. Didn't think about that either. Minnesota have been pretty good this year. Paul Fiander Turner, who is at Having a Radox, he said, same as I said on Burrows' show the other night, a proper UK fans meet is long overdue. Now we're not shite. Yeah, Scouse, I agree with you. We do need to get together. I think we're going to try and plan something for a Super Bowl watch party. Obviously, if we are there, touching wood and everything, then yeah, my credit card's getting absolutely spanked. But no, at the same time, I don't know. Paul, we will put something together. We did a draft party a few years ago, which was fantastic. And Burrows... Yeah, until the end, till we got kicked out with 3 picks to go. Yeah, that was interesting. But it's we think potentially there's a suspicion that there might be a weekend in Dublin, possibly. But we'll have to have a good chat to try and work something out. So it might be a UK and Ireland kind of thing. But we will do something to get together, that's for sure. We'll keep you posted on that. Kim Parkhurst, who is at Sweet Parkhurst on X, she said, who should we try and pick up by trade deadline, if any? And I'll go to both of you. Freddie, who have you got? Anyone for the trade deadline? Are we buyers or sellers?
Listen, sellers. Ooh. Buyers, no. Because Adam Peters is building this thing through the draft. He's going to supplement in free agency. I don't see the point in giving up capital. I've seen all of the things talking about Devontae. This team is never going to change, no matter how much we win, no matter what we do. We always want the bright, shiny thing, you know. And look, I love superstars too, but look, I feel like the chemistry of the team is great. You got Terry, you got the young cats coming along. Luke McCaffrey, he's going to be coming along. I mean, could we get someone better in there at number 2? I mean, I think we're going to draft a receiver coming up this next draft and see how that plays out. I mean, is there enough to go around to keep Devontae Adams and Terry happy? I don't think that's. I honestly think that Devontae Adams would just be a distraction more than anything else. And I also don't think that Adam Peters would want to give up probably what you're going to have to get him. And look, I'm at a point now with these linemen, and I think a lot of people are with John Allen and Daron Payne. Look, if you can get rid of one of them and grab yourself, a pack of gum and a Pop-Tart on it, I'm for it, honestly. At this point, we got so much money. Got so much money on those 2 dudes. I'd be willing to go ahead and drop one, pick up some draft capital, because that's how the team's going to be. That's how the team's going to be built anyway.
When is the trade deadline?
Week
8, is it? 9?
Week 8. Yeah, I think so.
Week 8. Yeah. So for me, it's kind of like how well we're doing. If we're say 6-2 at week 8, 5-3 even, we might be actually in there to actually try and buy. And I think
the only one.
For me, I'm looking for a corner. Yeah. So, for me, I like JC Horn.
Oh, you bugger! That's exactly where I was going from Carolina. Straight swap for John Allen. Thanks very much. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
No trade. Maybe you add a 5th in there. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I'd definitely be giving them a call anyway and see if they're interested in 100% for something. But yeah, definitely somebody like that. He's still young. He's only been in the league a couple of years. He looks very good still. And Carolina,
you could definitely finesse the Panthers.
And they're going to be.
You could absolutely do that. Listen, if Adam Peters can finesse Howie Roseman, who I'm still convinced that he sold his soul to the devil. I mean, you can definitely do with the Panthers, because they are a straight dumpster fire of an organization. They are just ass, man.
I mean, if we find out that people want JC Horn, he's going to go into the locker room, the manager's door, and say, "Hey, get me fucking out of here." You know what I mean? Let me get out of here. So, yeah, man, I could definitely see something like that happening.
Okay, last section then, which is our final section. Go and get Parsons. Come on now, maybe in the off season, I don't know, but that's definitely not going to happen.
I mean,
We had this last.
but
We had this last week. We're calling it 60 seconds with Canada Mike. This is where Canada Mike puts in his 150 questions that are all generally quite funny and witty and short, but we'll go through them. So, are you getting to a point where if we lose a game, it will be shock? No, I'm not at the moment, because I think this is a trap game. But I think also I might be a little bit like, oh, we've lost that? Okay, maybe it's a bit time to reset. But no, not for me, Canada Mike. He said, a year ago, I told you that we win 3 Super Bowls in 10 years. Are you with me now?
no.
No, I'm still not on that train. No, Freddie's not on that train with you either.
We played 4 games.
I know, but mind you, Canada Mike. I've got to point it out, Freddie. If you don't know Canada Mike, please go and follow him on Twitter.
No, I do.
He has said constantly for 3 years now, 12 wins. Whereas he's always gone 12 wins. We're always going to win 12. And
I do think we could get there. I
know.
Certainly believe we could get to 12, especially we're playing 17 game schedule. I think that is very attainable. I said very attainable. I didn't say it's very possible. I said it's very attainable.
Yeah.
I won't be shocked I won't be surprised if we lose this game against the Browns. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose the game after that. What I would be surprised at is if the offense came out and just looked totally inept. Look, you get beat, whatever. Is Jaden Daniels going to be able to keep an above 80% completion percentage, which is just absurd? I'd love for him to, but history tells us that at some point you're going to hit a little bit of adversity. Now, do I think that he's going to play badly? No. I would be surprised if he did play badly or just start making horrible decisions, something like that. I think that he's not going to throw a whole lot of interceptions this year. I think whatever picks he does throw is either going to be picks off of people's hands, or even the pick that he threw last week. It wasn't. It's not. He didn't make a horrible read. He airmailed the pass a little bit. Shit happens. It wasn't egregious, and it wasn't that where historically things have happened before, where someone turns the ball over or throws a pick at the absolute worst time of the game. And the thing was, when he threw that interception, I thought to myself, okay, that's great. He's got out of the way. I was not concerned at all. I think most of the games, if we lose them this year, and I'm being Captain Obvious right now, it'll be more on the defense than it is on the offense.
Agreed. Arch Deluxe, I forgot your question, mate, and Scouse has pointed it out in the chat there, so I'll go back. I got it here. I've got it as well, mate. You want to read it, or do you want me to read it? It's up to you, dude. I don't mind.
I'll do. I've got it here. So,
what
is the toughest matchup this week? Washington against Cleveland, Dallas versus Pittsburgh, the Giants against Seattle, or Philly versus themselves on their bye week?
I would go with that question, and I would say that New York playing Seattle is probably the toughest matchup of the lot of them. I think the Steelers are going to boat race the Cowboys this week. I think the Cowboys are. There's nothing to them this year. They fell off. There was a way that they could fall off this offseason, and it's happened, which is brilliant to see. I don't think they beat the Steelers this week. I think Justin Fields can do it with his legs, and I don't think they're strong enough to beat them. I think going to Seattle is going to be very tough for the Giants this week. We're probably quite tough. We've got a tough matchup against the Browns, but we're on a roll at the minute, and the Giants are not on a roll. And yeah, Philly will always beat themselves anyway, or their fans will anyway. That's for sure. I'm sure they're sitting there now thinking about Jaden Daniels beating themselves. But there you go. But yeah, man, I think probably New York Deluxe will be the toughest game against the Seahawks. Scouse, you got anything different to that?
Oh, I think Philly beating themselves up. Or nice. sitting there at home going, why are we so shit? Well, why is Sirianni still here? Let's get this fucker out. That's what I'd be thinking if I'm sitting there as a player.
Freddie? You got anything different to that?
No, Scout said it all.
Yeah, okay, there you go then. He's took the words out of your mouth. Other ones from Canada, Mike. He said we had 17 at the half against the Cards, and they had 14 total. Are you embarrassed that you laughed at my "it will be over by half-time" comment? No, I'm not.
No, because it wasn't over by half time.
Exactly. He said, "Is being complacent the only way we lose again?" No. And can we win 4 of the next 5? Can we win 4 of the next 5 games?
We can win 5 of the next 5 games. Fuck off.
Very true.
Yeah.
I'm serious. We could win 5 of the next 5. Do you know what I mean?
Next
we could
one
lose 5 of the next 5. I hate shit like that.
He's left it open, and he's left an open question there.
I mean...
The next one is, he said, with a view of keeping everyone's feet on the ground, how many points do you think we beat the Chiefs by in the Super Bowl? And then he said, Forbes back and the defense is good. Any coincidence? I mean, Forbes was 30 pounds lighter, 30 pounds heavier this week because of that thumb bit that he had on his thumb, his cast. So, you know, he didn't quite look like a zip when you stick his tongue out. But yeah, man, I'm glad to see Forbes back on the field actually, and he had a pretty decent game. I got to give him that. And his final thing, he said, is it more comfortable for us all if Scouse just predict week on week, loss after loss?
Yeah, I think
predicting a loss.
I think if I do that, then they'll prove me wrong every week, and then I'm happy because we win. So, I don't know. That
would be good. Okay, last thing then, boys. Thank you for being with us, Freddie. As always, we really appreciate you being on the show. You know, you are a superstar. I miss your pods. Don't know if you're going to get back into the podcast game again or if time permits, but keep doing your hot takes. Some of them are absolutely outrageous, and I looked at him and went, what the fuck is he actually doing here? The other times I was like, yeah, that's quite funny, man. I was looking like, sell Jaden? What are you talking about? I'm sure you're obviously just doing it for the heist, but I get it, man. I get where you're going with it, and it was amazing to catch up with you. We are going to catch up again probably before the season is out, I hope. I really want to see a playoff game. You know what I mean? I really want to, hopefully, fingers crossed, if we continue the way we're going, the UK boys will be back on a plane, hopefully late December, if not early January, playing 100%. January football. And we can't wait for you to be here. All right, final predictions then for the game on Sunday. Scouse, I'll go to you first, mate. What's your prediction?
Do I want to see what I really want to say, or do I do what Mike asked me to do?
I do what you want to do, what you think is best, my mate. You be with you.
Lose than we win. You know, it's kind of works, but no,
be real.
We're gonna win. 27-21.
27-21. Freddie?
Okay, yeah, we're going to win 100%. We're going to win. It's going to be 31-17, but one of our touchdowns is going to come on a pick six.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'm taking this as a win, and I'm going to go 34-17. I don't see
you scoring that many points, man. Like
did you just go 34-17 because you didn't want to go 31-17 because I already took it from you, Scotty? Because that is some shit that you would do.
I was going 30-17 actually in my head, but I'll go 34. 34-17.
I got my eye on you, fucking lying.
I see what you're doing. But yeah, man, that's it then. We will be back next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for joining us. Cannot thank you enough. Jesse, Scott G, everyone who's been in here, Deluxe. We've got Ian in here. We've had Rob Morrison in. We've had Brian always in here. I appreciate you, Brian, obviously being on here first one. On Burrows, Jesse. Who else have we had? We've had every man and his dog. Freddie, obviously, for being our guest on the show. We appreciate you being on here as well.
Before you finish
go ahead.
The new updated injury list has just come out.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
So Nick Allegretti was the first one on this list. He did not participate Wednesday, but he was limited today.
Okay. He'll play.
He's trending up.
Yeah, he'll play.
Hampton was full participant today. Owens did not participate yesterday, and he's limited today. B-Rob did not participate yesterday or today. So he's looking potentially could be out here the way it's looking.
He's probably going to be a game time thing.
And Noah Brown,
I think so.
limited yesterday, did not participate today. So maybe he's on the groin. He's getting worse. So
Austin Eckler should be back, and then we got Jeremy McNichols.
Eckler was full.
Yeah.
Eckler was full. Yeah, so that's great. Percy Butler was still limited. He was limited yesterday as well. Jazir Newton was full today. It's good. I say Eckler was full. Forbes was full. McGee, Mariota, Quan Martin, and F.A. Abada all full as well. So
sweet.
The biggest concerns there.
Concerns B-Rob, yeah.
B-Rob, for sure. He's limited on he's got a downward trajectory for this week. So, and same with Noah Brown as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think about him as well. So
big game time decisions coming then.
Let me throw this in. I got to throw this at Scouts real quick before because he's the sports medicine guy. So let me ask you this: with the way that the offense is playing, and I really thought that not having Eckler would have been a huge loss. I mean, McNichols really stepped up there, but B-Rob, he's the bell cow. He's the number one running back, absolutely, especially the way that we've been running the ball. But let me ask you this: would you rather put B-Rob in there this Sunday against the Browns and risk it, or roll with Eckler and McNichols, who had a great game last Sunday, just let it go, keep B-Rob inactive so that he's going to be 100% or as high as he can be for that game against the Ravens? I know we don't want to look ahead, but which one would you choose?
I think I'd choose the latter. I think if he's trending down, then no point in risking him for this game. I would play a little bit more C-Rod, to be honest. Use him as the actual power rusher, and I still have Eckler and McNichols still being available as well for what Eckler normally does, mostly pass it or the zone run scheme. So for me, keep Robinson out. And then bring him back for next week. That's what I would do personally. If going off the injury reports that he hasn't participated, and he probably won't participate the rest of the week now. So I'd probably keep him out personally.
Well, we'll see what happens with these game time decisions, gents. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Alid, Paul, and Rod, I forgot to shout you out in the chat, so thank you for joining us as well. And we will catch you again next week, guys. Freddie, thanks as well. And Scouse, thanks as always for being on with me, mate, putting up with me for over an hour. Appreciate you, bud.
Hey, I'm looking for players who actually fit the scheme, bro. And he's the same type of player as B-Rob. Don't give me that, man. Don't give me that.
We'll see.
So, but yeah, good as always, boys.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.